All right. Are y'all feeling all right? I know it's towards the end of the day. Let's get this energy up. Yes? Okay. We're close. We're close. I know it was a busy and full day, but hopefully it was a energizing one, right? So it's my pleasure to introduce our closing speaker, Amanda Wallace. Woo woo. Amanda Wallace is the founder of Operation Stop CPS, which is a grassroots organization dedicated to empowering communities to resist local family policing agencies. If you saw Amanda yesterday, you already got the rundown of how she shows up in this space, right? We mentioned, too, that she co-chairs the Black Mothers March, which we hope all of you will attend in 2025. Some march on Washington in Washington, D.C. Happens on Mother's Day. Amanda comes to this work having been an investigator in the system for 10 years, right? Seeing how messed up that system was, she decided to be on this freedom side. So, and we're all grateful to have her here with us. And we just got one question. Well, we just got a statement to make.
Right, it's not a question.
It's a statement. I'm trying to figure out, I'm like, oh, damn. You two don't want to. Come on, you two. Skip it.
Skip that.
Look, I don't know how to work PCs. Oh, there we go.
Hey, for y'all. Yes, yes. Let's keep that energy, y'all. We know it's the end of the day. I understand coming to conferences. But we understanding that we ready. All right. Yes, we ready. We're just gonna switch over these slides right quick. But who's ready? All right. And when we say we ready for y'all, who we talking about? Right. And but the state, we coming for the state, right? And understanding that the state, like, yes, family policing, people that are in family policing, that's our target. Reproductive justice, we understand that who the target is. But what we talking about today is the state, because that's what aligns us and brings us all together. And so I just want to ground us, right, in regards to just giving honor to the organizers of this event, because organizing is not easy. And so make sure I don't forget nobody. Berkeley Law, Gender Journal, If, When, How, and Moving for Family Power. And Moving for Family Power, of course, has a special, home in my heart because it is my movement home. And in regards to, like, when it comes to political education, and so if you do not have a political home, I would tell you to get one, because you can't do this work without the grounding of understanding to what end, and what we're talking about here. And so, and also, shout out to Dorothy Roberts, Professor Dorothy Roberts, right? Because, like, we got a genius on our team, right? And in our camp, we got, you know what I mean? So, like, let's ground ourselves in that. But let's talk about how we disrupt this system and organize for Black mamas. And disrupting this is starting with the question of, we've been here all day, and I just want to understand if everybody in this room gets that the mission is to decrease the money going to reproductive justice and giving it to the family policing system to abolish this system. In this room, do we understand that that's what we got to get to? Yeah. Like, I was just trying to see how much work we got to do today, because I know we're trying to get out at 5. Bobby said, what is it, 15? 18% of the... 50 is, that's fine too, but we got to start somewhere. Yeah, so we said 15. 15%, I feel like that's a starting place, right? So this is where we're at. And so if we leave here and whoever the funders are in this room, right, if you understand that that's a mission, how do we figure that out in the 2025 budget, then we on the right track today of how we going to organize for that. And so as I was trying to think about this presentation, I was really trying to think about the word silo and what it means to really break a silo, because actually a silo as a noun, which is a thing, is actually you know, you're putting these grains in here, right? And you're putting things together. It's like our knowledge in movements of how we hold that in certain movements and together. But it's also, which I love, which is a chamber in which a guided missile is kept ready for fire. And, right? And so I was like, oh, I don't know if people know that in regards to what a silo is. And our missiles are our people in our movements, right? You know, when something happens, if somebody gets arrested, if something is something is popping off, the people who you can mobilize are your missiles that are staying ready. But when you look at a silo in action, which again, we are action-oriented in our movements, the lack of knowledge sharing is what is causing these silos in between movements. And also the lack of people sharing, right? So you can show up over here when this is happening, but what about when it's happening over here, right? Like, yes, women in regards to birthing, yes, they need all of the rights, but what about them kids after they give birth? Like, they still need the resources. And so again, we gotta make sure that we're showing up everywhere. And the lack of money sharing, because again, I'm gonna say, we gotta make sure that that money is flowing to the movement to abolish family policing, because that's how we're gonna really break this silo. And so, our values are what breaks these silos. And so the human right to maintain personal bodily autonomy, have children, not have children, and then raise those children in safe and sustainable communities. Who in here has that value or holds this value? Okay. And so for my people in the back of the room that I know that are watching the room, if they didn't raise their hands, we know we might not be able to you know, come together, because these values that we have, if we don't believe in this, and not just what's on this screen, but if we don't live this, we're not really building, right? You can't believe in bodily autonomy and believe that if somebody goes to the hospital, somebody else should get the decision to test if they test them for drugs. You can't believe this and then just and act a certain type of way. And so our shared values build these bridges. And I could have definitely got a picture of a bridge that just goes straight across. But, like, this is literally where we at, right? Like, it's just, I mean, who knows what's down here, right? Waiting. But, like, it's so many points that we could come together right now and all get to the same place, right? And make sure that we build something that is sustainable for all people to be able to access. With the understanding, though, like, is that family policing is a threat to our values. Like, it's a threat. We cannot, like, we can't see this come to fruition in our lifetime if the family policing system exists. Like, it's just real. And so, again, we cannot do this alone. Like, we have to make sure that our values align. And so bodily autonomy, like I said, this is mandated reporting, coerced drugs testing, and all those other forms of control that we understand that this system is all about. And then the right to have children. So if you are having a child, but you believe you're gonna go to your prenatal care and get a report, or you're gonna get drug tested, or all of the notes that you say are gonna then be used against you, why would you, right? And so you don't have that right, especially when those healthcare workers are then weaponized and criminalized against Black mamas. And then the right to not have children. We had heard today in regards to the right to abortion, and then if you're doing that, then guess what? Here comes the knock at the door. Because the family policing system is then, because they don't want to support this child. They don't want to support this family or address or address anything. They just want to sit here and continue that power and control. And then the right to the safe and sustainable communities, and I feel like that's where we're at right now. I think we can all understand how this is a threat to the first three, but in regards to the right to live in safe and sustainable communities, it's something that we all have to reckon with, because that's about the resources, right? Like, yes, I want everybody to be safe. I want everybody to have everything, but what does that mean? Like, if you're not able to materialize the money, then we're just talking. And, like, if we really want to abolish this thing, if we really want to see our values in real life, in our lifetime, then, like, we have to understand that. And so I know people like stats, so that's why I put them up here. And again, it's just for people to have some quick stats, right? Like, if we could talk about both of these systems, we could talk about some reproductive justice stats and understand that black women are dying at a higher rate. That's a fact. That black babies are dying at a higher rate. That should be something that we are trying to solve, right? With the understanding that it's a legacy in all of this. It's not like, oh, well, why? It's because it's a legacy. This is what's supposed to happen. This is what this regime, this United States government, this is how they've created their systems to ensure that these statistics continue to get higher and higher. And then some family policing stats, right? For us to understand that if you survive, if your baby then survives, then here goes the family policing system to control you, right? 50% of black children will have a CPS investigation by their 18th birthday, right? Like that's exactly, it's crazy, right? Right, and just looking at the disproportionality in the system, and that these reports are not about like what they tried to paint it out about in regards to abuse. No, this is about neglect. This is about having resources. This is about childcare, housing. Like this is what children are being taken from their families about. And so if we can understand that legacy of family policing, see if this was happening right now, right here on Berkeley's campus on the corner, or if you saw in the newspaper that they was about to sell, some children, some Negroes off, you would be upset. I hope, right? You would be outraged. Right? But you would be outraged. You would be outraged by this, right? But now it's happening behind closed doors, and so nobody's talking about it. So that's how do we organize? And I want to point out, this is me and this is my mother, because when we're talking about organizing, that's where it starts at, right? That's why this system is so harmful, and that's why it's such a threat, is because it takes this away. When nobody was showing up, my mother was. She believed, right? And so, again, that's how we're talking about organizing for collective freedom. And organizing is a process, right? It's not like, these things, you can take it if you want. But what does that process look like in your own community? And it might not look like in this pathway. But first, it's getting in community with people who are impacted by this issue. What does that impact look like? What is going on? And then also, again, in regards to their co-conspirators and what's happening. And then what's the problem and what are the solutions? Get clear on it. Because you might think you got a problem, or you got a problem. Everybody got problems, but what are the problems that you can align on? What are the things that what problems do you share, and what solutions do you guys want to work together to see come to fruition? And then identify the people and the structures that make those solutions possible. And I think people miss that sometimes because you want to build power, but you got to understand who you taking that power from, because those people hold it. The power exists. It's just being held by certain people. And so you could power map, right? But I'm gonna tell you, elected officials is always a great way to start, because those are the folks that hold power in your community. Nonprofits hold power in the community, especially those with big budgets. Hold power, and your elders. And elders in two different ways, because you're going to have elders that are going to be with you and understand this fight and all of that, and then you're going to also have elders that sometimes stand in the way because they've been living, I'm just being right, that's just what it is, because they've lived this, and that's their wisdom. But you also have to understand how to organize with all of your elders, or, just in regards to trying to figure that out. And then enlisting those targets in your negotiations. So if you understand where you want to go in those solutions, how do you negotiate with those people, but also put that pressure on the outside, and that's what we're gonna talk about, because that's what I like to do, is in regards to putting pressure on these, people, because you gotta have the inside and the outside, right? I don't wanna really, I heard somebody say in regards to the director, like meeting regularly and stuff like that. I think that's cool, because people have to do it, but you also gotta have people that will refuse to sit at the table with these people, because they know that I'm just still gonna show up at wherever I need to show up to put pressure on you, and like that might have a problem with us sitting at the same table. But it's to what end. And then also building these life-affirming institutions, right, that have the resources to sustain the people that you are organizing with, and then that embodies the will of the people, right? The will of the people, and the power of the people. So again, this is just some tips in regards to community organizing, but like I said, it's a process and it's gonna look different everywhere. When Operation Stop CPS first started, we were everywhere, and learned that needed to sit down a little bit and see in regards to like what it looks like on the ground, and like again in regards to organizing in like our own backyard. And so talking about just some strategies, this is pictures from Durham, and so when we think about community education, what does it look like, right, to make sure that we're empowering and educating Black mamas to be out there educating the community on their own health, their own like wellness, and what needs to happen in communities. And so this picture on the left was from a town hall. And then this picture on the right was from a teaching at a law school. And so if, we're here again at Berkeley, they have a lot of wealth. I'm just keep pointing it out. And so the law students here, right, can have a town hall, bring, folks into the community to talk about court watching, to talk about, what is happening here in the community, because you have that power, and to really think about what it would look like to, have a clinic that does that on a regular basis, to have like teachings and again, just to be able to continue to put that information back out into the community. So community education is really important though, because if the community is not educated on family policing instead of child protective services, you're gonna miss it every time, right? If they're not educated on the fact that abolition has to happen and reform is reform, right? We can make the system better, but if we really understand that this system is standing in the way of our values, then we have to understand that it can't exist. And so if we're not educated and politically educated on this, again, we're just gonna be building on not solid foundation. And then policy advocacy, if you are academic, if you like to do research and just read, this is something, policy, y'all, we need it. We need people to do it. And just make a thing, like, yeah, that's what we've been saying, but write it in a paper, and like really just write it down, and advocate for, the decriminalization of Black motherhood, and the end to family policing and its harm, and then push for policies like paid medical leave, right? Child care, doulas at birth, all of these things that we could be pushing for. And these are just some campaigns, and policies that are, being pushed: repeal CAPTA, repeal ASFA, informed consent in New York, and then Mother Up, because they're doing guaranteed income, right? They're pushing with the Mothers Outreach Network, and that's what has to happen in the Black maternal health omnibus. So yeah, if you like policy, get in it. And also building support networks, building collective network that support Black mamas that look like childcare. If you're in a community and children are being taken because they don't have childcare, that's something that you need to be organizing around, because that shouldn't happen. And so how do you put that information out into the community so somebody knows to call if that is the case? So and so you can find some long-term solutions, but having, just something in place for somebody to be able to reach out if that's the issue. And then just having some safety nets, right? What does mutual aid look like? Mutual aid is so important. We have to be able to materialize resources amongst ourselves, and we also have to have funders to give us the money as well, so that, because we are organizing with marginalized communities, we're organizing with people that are just trying to pay their rent, their bills, and all that type of stuff. So mutual aid is great, but there's also other money as well that we could be getting. And building up court watch and parent defense, right? You should be at wherever they are kidnapping children and legalizing it. When are they holding courts? How often are they holding courts? Who are your judges? You should know these things in your community. And so making sure that you're building that up so that somebody is there. And then also, parent defense. Unfortunately, it's not strong. Parent defense. We got a lot of attorneys, but it's not but it's not strong parent defense, right? Like somebody that's going to go to bat, that's going to be unconventional, that's not going to just tell you to do services, that's going to file a motion, that's going to just do something to make them, you know what I mean? Like you just need a bully like in the courtroom. But you need to build that up, and that also takes organizing to just make sure that it is also aligned with with the community, and normalize responding to the threat of children. Exactly, right? Normalizing that threat, because if the family police are coming to somebody's house to take their child, and the community responds in power, right, to make sure that they can't take that child. And people say, well, what? Why did you do that? Or maybe let's do this. Then no, right? We have to, if we are educated and politically educated, then we should understand that this is a kidnapping. And the same way an Amber Alert comes out, the community should be showing up too. And we shouldn't have no backlash if the community is doing that. And so how do we organize to make sure that people's mindsets believe that when it has to happen? And then this right here, this is from Durham. This is Sharaka on here, if y'all were there last night, right? Because she's going to show up in court watch. And, Miss Cheryl, and, everybody that's in this picture are folks in Durham County that understand and are committed to seeing the family policing system not exist, and not just like as a, idea, as a concept or an idea, but like, what does that truly look like? That would mean that, on the 5th floor in courtroom 5C in Durham County, it would be closed. Like, not just because they closed it because they're trying to kick the community out, but it would actually be closed and they weren't doing business. And like the at 414, I know it's being live streamed, at 414 East Main Street in Durham, where they hold these children and get them, that would be closed on the 3rd floor where they keep the children sleeping in the building. And so that is what we have to materialize as being real. And so let's talk about what organizational alliances are, because we've talked about what it looks like on the ground, right, as people organizing, but there are a lot of organizations that have already organized people to something. And so at this point, it's time for organizations to align to push us forward in this fight, right? And so it's about this union or association formed for mutual benefit. But you can't form an alliance if there's no mutual benefit, right? And you also got to be clear about what that mutual benefit is, and that the people in your organization will benefit as well. And again, just being very clear on to what end. Because you got to be clear at to what end when you are forming an alliance, because it can't be, and also when you're forming an alliance, you shouldn't be nitpicking or like really like this is, because clearly if you become an organization that's in a position to form an alliance, you've clearly been doing something. And so if you're at this position, you still need to be doing your work. This person still needs to be doing this work in regards to organization, but how do you align to you know what I'm saying, to push it forward to what end? And so again, but it's got to be for this mutual benefit. And so, if these orgs formed alliances, right, shared some money, and did those things, like we would be able to form like these bigger alliances. But we have to understand that there are barriers to organizing, right? There are barriers to organizing that this state has systematically put up to make sure that organizing stays a certain way. They wanted to make sure that there was not a Messiah would not rise, right? To be able to bring people together and to organize. And so that's why these systematic things are put in place to stop it, like retaliation from the state. I faced it. I know some other organizers, right, that have faced it. Bakura Shabazz in regards to these unauthorized practice of law. And just other people who have faced the brunt of standing on the front line. Again, the state will attack. They will say that you're being unethical. They will say they will criminalize, you, and all of the things. I can attest to it, right? When the State Bureau of Investigation knocked at my door, right, in 2023 and told me that, I had done something wrong. That I had used a government computer when I was employed by the government, right? But regardless, it's funny, but guess what? They still came with their guns. They still surrounded my home, right? So, that retaliation is real. But I know that I'm attached to movement that's going to show up, right? That's going to show up, back them back. And in regards to these lawyers that, are there, we have to be, not we, because I'm not a lawyer, but y'all need to, be ready to fight when this is happening in regards to retaliation. It's a barrier, but how do we have the manpower and the knowledge to fight back against that retaliation, right? What does that look like? Like Aaron said, in regards to the First Amendment, right? If we can't talk about this, then how are we supposed to push it forward? Because they know that truth is power. And just simply saying what has happened is powerful. What? They did that to you? Yes. They did it to her down the street. They did it to him. They did it to all of these people. But if you said that over and over again, then that would be a problem for the state. And this counter-narrative is a barrier to organizing. Right? In regards to family policing, people believe that it supports kids and children, right? Oh, yeah, I need to report them because they're not, again, there's no child care. Well, do you think they're going to give them child care? If so, Google family policing and, research a little bit so that you can understand that that's actually not what's going to happen. In regards to reproductive justice, right, that abortion is attacked in the name of the preservation of kids, right? It's just how the state, these narratives that they put out to keep, people boxed in. And the lack of resources and the scarcity mindset that is created in movement. Right? If we all fighting for that $50,000 grant, it creates a scarcity mindset. But if we knew that in this room there was probably over $1 million of funds sitting here that wouldn't make, it would add to the movement, but it wouldn't take away from what's already being built. Right? We just need to redistribute those resources, then that would, solve this problem. And then also, this language barrier. What are we talking about? You're saying abolition, we're saying reform. All of these things, these language barriers do sometimes cause issues, and cause barriers. But again, if we are politically grounded and understand the history, then we can have a shared language. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to, you can believe, we can agree to disagree. I think I'm at this point in my life where everybody's not going to get it, and we just got to know that. But there's enough people that will get it, right? Because we don't have to use that energy. we don't have to use that energy. And so if you have the language, then you can weed people out. If they're like, oh, bye. It just is what it is. Because I just believe it so much. And then in regards to fatigue, I'm sitting here at almost 5 o'clock, ready to get out too. But fatigue is real because you got to keep moving because this system never stops, right? And so you have to keep moving, but you just got to keep organizing people. right? You have to keep organizing people, keep, passing down wisdom so that other people come into leadership and other people can organize, and just keep organizing in a community. And then prioritizing rest and healing. When it happened, when you're not putting on these large convenings, the Black Mothers March and all of those things, prioritize like just being able to just take some breaths and to rest, and to have clear boundaries with folks. That goes back to you just can't build with everybody, right? Just be clear about that, and that will reduce some of those barriers. And so, again, if we understand this shared vision, right? This shared vision, if we all believe it, a future where Black mamas are free, that's the part, right? When they are free. Free. Because that's what I'm fighting for. It's freedom. All of these other things, fighting these symptoms, as Corey Best, right, will say, these symptoms, it's my calling, it's what I gotta do. But what I'm fighting for is freedom. And that's what we all have to, it's to what end? Is that all people are free from surveillance and punishment and are instead, because of the in regards to abolition, people say, well, we want to tear it down, but we know what we want. We know what we want. It's just that we don't have the resources to do it. And so being able to be supported in communities that recognize their inherent right to parent with dignity and support. In a society where Black mamas have full autonomy over their bodies, reproductive choices, and family lives, and full abolition of the family policing system, right? That is our shared vision if we are going to form these alliances and move forward together. And so in conclusion, I think, hold on, let me make sure, in regards to the time. Okay, yeah, we good. So breaking silos and building bridges between reproductive justice movement and the movement to abolish family policing is essential, right, in creating this collective vision. If they don't happen, we don't see our vision. It's really just that simple. And organizing, collaboration, solidarity, and mutual support is critical to this long-lasting systematic change. Because we don't just want it to change in 2025, we want it to be long-lasting, and we want for the next generation to not have to solve this problem. That's what we're doing it for, right? So that when the next generation comes and people talking about family policing, they're gonna talk about the people that abolished it and not having to talk about what has happened or what they still need to be doing. And so the call to action is to join an organization that's doing the work, right? That's led by folks that are impacted, that are on the ground. Engage in local, state, and national advocacy efforts, Linko Movement for Family Power, Up In Movement, Sister Song, all of these organizations that are leading these efforts. Do your research. You can't trust everything on Google, but it's a start of being able to just put in, family policing, Google, Movement for Family Power, all of these things, just Google and go down the rabbit hole and learn, right? Just learn about it and organize. Y'all organize with folks. I'm so excited to see folks from California in this room and from other states and just again that you came here not just by yourself but with other people that you can form relationships with, right? We're gonna talk about the Black Mothers March, but organize for the Black Mothers March and bringing folks together as well, because this is what we're trying to prevent. Am I next? Right? For these children that are just in their house. And then not. These parents that are cooking dinner for their kids, and then they not. The family policing system may not have impacted you, but it could. This system is for profit, it's an industry, and it's always gonna need a commodity if it still exists. And so again, if it is not you, it could be somebody that you love, it could be anybody. So we have to all understand our duty to abolish it. And you can get connected. You can follow our work on Instagram. You can scan the QR code if you do, or you can just go to Instagram and put in @Operation Stop CPS and follow us. You can, the link in the bio is just everything that you need to know. You can go to our website and those types of things. And then get synced to the movement, Movement for Family Power has these movement syncs, and the next one is on November 19th, and this QR code is to a Google form that you can fill out to come to the movement sync to talk about it. This next one, Aaron and I will be talking about the lawsuit that just dropped in Durham against this judge and the sheriff. But again, to just talk about, yes, we did it in Durham, but it needs to happen everywhere. All of them. We need to go to the power. You just need to go to the power. And so save the dates.
Could you put that back, the QR code?
Of course. Okay. Save the dates, y'all. We talked about this already, but the Black Mothers March on the White House. This will be our 4th annual march on the White House. And this came because, like, just out organizing, we just saw, yes, there's families over here that are being impacted. There's families over here that are being impacted. But we need to come together to share knowledge, to share understanding. And so that's what the Black Mothers March is. And I'm going to tell you, the people that organize the Black Mothers March understand that abolition is going to happen because we're going to make it happen. And so we are on the front lines fighting against this. And so just a quick call for sponsors for the Black for the Black Mothers March. We would love to have sponsors. And if you have ever been or if you are on the Black Mothers March committee, please raise your hand. Keep it up right quick. And so these folks that are raising it, hold on, because Aaron, Lisa, raise your hand. I know you got 2 phones, but because I really want to make sure y'all see. But so these folks that have their hands up, because they know that everybody on the committee is a fundraiser. And so as we break, if you are speaking to any of these folks and you want to be a sponsor, please let them know and we can get it to the committee. And so also, Ashley, Albert, right, talked about this yesterday. Yes. Ashley, Albert talked about this on the panel yesterday in regards to Stolen Children's Month, right? This is going to be the month after Black Mothers March, and we coming and telling folks that these children are stolen, right? They are stolen, and so Stolen Children's Month honors families who have had their children stolen by the family policing system, and Stolen Children's Month seeks to dismantle the false narrative of child protection and stand in solidarity with families resisting the violence of the family policing system. And this month holds space for the most marginalized, which are children who never return home and their parents who will always hold that pain, right? And so we have to understand what this month understands. So we're going to have, understand June, y'all? Y'all need to be active in June, right? So you got from now, because now you have the date, right? May 11th. So don't say you did not know about the Black Mothers March. It's May 11th, and it's a weekend. But then, in June, it's time to take all that energy back to your state and give them hell, right, for these stolen children. And so in Durham, right now, it's all about, like, art and being visual and bringing, like, all of this together. And so Layla, which, you know, when it comes to, like, this art, her name is Messenger, and she created this video about the family policing system. And so I just wanted to play it as we close because I've said it. Everybody, a whole bunch of people have said it. And just listen to some music, and she's going to say it again. So here we go.
Are you ready? Child protection services is a form of modern day slavery. Separated black families is rooted around millions of kids lost in the system now. Stripping babies from their birth name. Foster care system make a profit every day. The parents and the kids still pay. No way, we gon' let them get away. Another day we fight, making sure our kids safe. No way, we gon' let them get away. A system saying it's for protection, but in the sector of it, lives are negatively affected from it. Taking kids from homes, finding ways to roam where they belong. Separating them from their parents, who made sure that they were straight. The best way we know is rooted where there's hatred. In the name of safety, it's time to take a look at victims of poverty. Work with families that wants to support their they babies instead of calling it child neglect when it's just being poor. How could a system care more to take a baby from a family and search for support just to pay a random family for that stolen baby? They out here attacking something sacred. It's rooted around separating black families, trying to terrorize the black image. That's crazy. Child protection services is a form of modern day slavery. Separated black families is rooted around millions of kids lost in the system now, stripping babies from their birth names. Foster care system make a profit every day. The parents and the kids still pay. No way, we gon' let them get away. Another day we fight, making sure our kids safe. No way, we gon' let them get away. Child protection services is a form of modern day slavery. Separated black families is rooted around millions of kids lost in the system now, stripping babies from their birth names. Foster care system make a profit every day. The parents and the kids still pay. No way, we gon' let them get away. Another day we fight, making sure our kids safe. No way, we gon' let them get away. Another day we fight, making sure our kids safe. No way, we gon' let them get away. The parents and the kids still pay. No way, we gon' let them get away. The parents and the kids still pay.
Yeah, so, and those images were from the Black Mothers March on the White House. And so if you could feel that energy, again, we would love to see y'all there and marching with us. But I appreciate it. In regards to organizing, let's continue to organize, y'all. Let's do this.
Thank you so much, Amanda, for closing us out. How y'all feeling? I feel like the energy is back up, right? All right. So I'm going to close this out, and we are only 1 minute from time, and so I'm going to make this really quick. I first want to thank all of the organizers of this convening, this symposium. So if you were one of the organizers on the organizing team, just raise your hand. Woo! Yes. So we have folks from the Berkeley Law Center on Reproductive Rights and Justice, If, When, How, and of course, Moving for Family Power. So we're here. Thanks, y'all. And just reiterating what Amanda said and what everybody has been saying, like, all we want you to do is just tap in and be connected with community, right? We're hoping that through this conversation, you feel that you're not alone. You feel that there's other folks who are in this room and you're in your local communities also doing this work nationally in other states that you can tap in with, right? So if anybody that you may hear, any of the organizations that folks who are on panels represent, feel free to follow them on social media, right? Check out their websites, Moving for Family Power. We have some resources that are listed in your programs. So we have a resource library if you want to learn more about some of these issues. Join our movement syncs that we have monthly for folks who are abolitionists and are coming together to strategize and be with each other while we try and figure out how we're getting our families free. So get connected, get rooted, get grounded, and we're going to make sure that our people are good and our people are safe and well and thriving. All right. Thanks, y'all. That's it.